and I know how to do it. You can just click on certain buttons, put the amount of time, and just print it. So you don't have to go through the ridiculous stuff I'm doing. It's a choice, though. I choose to do that because I think it's easier to understand.
You're amazing.
What it is.
Okay. Okay, thank you all for
Well, I don't do it.
I hold you on track.
waiting on me. We're live now, and we thank those who are, and I apologize to those here and afar that have been waiting for me to come on. I'm Jan Chase, and this is our Unity Church of Pomona Valley Sunday service today, the 19th of October. Hard to believe fall is this far along already.
What happened?
Yeah, it goes, everything goes faster. I think the older we get, the faster time speeds up. Do you think so?
Yes.
Yes, yes. So this month of Halloween, we are looking at scary thoughts and how they affect us, various aspects of our life, and today we're looking at how it can affect our health. So we appreciate you and the various ways that you support us, including financial donations. So thank you for that. Shall we sing this song again, Drac? I appreciate you're doing the music. You warmed up, right?
Everybody, do you know it now? How many times
So,
before service?
I love myself just the way I am.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What was, hold on a minute. We've got ragtime piano here. We don't need ragtime.
Ragtime. Well, that might be strange in ragtime.
We could go.
That might be fun.
My apologies.
I like that.
Let's make this stop for a second. I apologize.
We could do ragtime for a change and get up and dance.
Wait.
That's what
We
they
probably
do in certain churches.
Need
They
to
get up,
dance.
they bring tambourines and rattles and stuff, and they get up and they dance and they sing. It's just as good as anything else.
I'm
No,
not going to do that.
let's
to you.
not. Let's not. This is not
Here
going
we
to stay.
go. I love myself the way I am. There's nothing I need to change. I'll always be the perfect me. There's nothing to rearrange. I'm beautiful and capable of being the best me I can. And I love myself
That's sometimes the hardest, isn't it? And yet the most important. That's, I think, why we come here, is to learn to love ourselves, because it's so easy to love each other. And if we can believe it, it makes it a lot easier to do that. So let us pray right now. I invite you to let my words be your words. As I breathe in, I allow my breath to take me deep inside this amazing body that is me. I live in this body that my soul has created for my soul's growth. It has built-in blessings and may have built-in challenges as well. These challenges and these blessings may deepen my connection to the divine, to life, to others, and it may bring me into a more purposeful living. I love my body. And every cell, every tissue, every organ, and every organ system within. I see them all working together harmoniously, fluidly, in the flow, in the divine flow of life itself. I send my conscious awareness deep down, filled with gratitude for all of my body's miraculous workings. I bless my body today and every day by loving it completely. Rather than focusing on what does not work, as well as it maybe did in the past, I focus on what does work, and I lift up those parts that struggle. In my mind's eye, I see everything in my body, in my being, in my mind, in my spirit, all working together to bring me into perfect health, so that I can joyously live the purpose that I have come here on earth to live. And as I see this for myself, a joyous life, a healthy body, a soaring spirit, I see this for all around me, all of my friends, all of my family. I see this for those that I meet on the street that I don't know. And I see this for those that I may consider other, those people I may not understand or even like. And yet I see them too, rising into the completeness of their journey here on earth. Thus bringing peace, inner and outer, to ourselves and to the world. And so it is. I may need some water if somebody could give me
I also have a cough drop too.
I don't know what happened. I think I just got emotional and
Loving yourself.
loving myself. It can be very emotional, can't it? Yeah. So let us sing the Lord's Prayer at this time. David, would you shut the light, the one light off? So, yeah, our screen, does that help the screen be a little brighter?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, now we have announcements, and we've got a lot, because a lot of things have been happening, and I want to share some of that with you. We have our food today after our service, and I want to thank the people that bring food for us and have brought food. Again, you can let people know about our YouTube channel that people can go to see past way older services. Last week we had our spiritual banner art show, and I want to thank you all. I took some pictures, and here they are. Here are the great artists that Carmen, Jackie, and Susie and the banners that they created. So thank you guys again. We get to have them up and bless them this month, and other people are making banners, and they'll be blessing us. And those of you who haven't made one or are in the midst of making them, I know a number of us are working on them. Hopefully those will get done sometime fairly soon. We had our Unity 102 class last Sunday, but we ended it about an hour early because people needed to leave. And so I'm hoping to find a time that will work to finish that last hour so we can talk after church. We had our SWAC meeting, our looking at Unity's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and challenges this past week, Wednesday night. And I was amazed. I don't know, many of you came, and thank you for coming. I was amazed at how many strengths we found. That touched my heart. Did anything touch your hearts when you sat there? Yeah. So we have a lot of opportunities we looked at, and we need to move ahead with some of those. So we'll be having some more of those meetings. Our book study is from 7 to 8, and we're almost finished with Ishmael, so I'm hoping we can finish it tomorrow night. Conversations about God, the Upland Interfaith Council is doing circles around gratitude and prayers of thanksgiving, and it is this Tuesday at the Upland Library. I know a number of us go together, so that should be fun. On Wednesday, we are having another interfaith, open hearts, sharing, support, and prayer circle. So I invite you to spread the word. It is back to 5:30 to 6:30 here in this chapel, and it is with the Claremont Center for Spiritual Living. So we get some nice circles going, but I do need help getting the word out, so if you can let people know, it's a very healing experience. So our Wednesday meditation that is usually on Zoom is going to be on Thursday night at 6:30. Again, anyone is always welcome to join us on that. And then coming up is Compassionate Pomona's Kindness Festival. And with this theme of kindness calms chaos. We're living in a pretty chaotic time these days. And I just invite you to look at your life and any bits of kindness that you feel prompted to give or do. Know that that is helping somebody's trauma or nervousness or whatever in this chaotic time. Compassionate Pomona, next meeting is the first Thursday in November, November 6th. A week ago Saturday, I went to our old church building and I did take some pictures. It is now the Gandasan Buddhism Temple, and their main guru from Taiwan was there along with followers from all over the world. And so they had over 100 people that were in the seats. They had these statues that were draped in red. You can see them in this very first picture, the red up front, and then they dropped the red sheets, and to reveal these amazing statues, including, what is her name? The feminine goddess. And Kuan Yin, thank you. Yes, Kuan Yin is there in the middle with the many arms. And so, and there, you could see a lot of the people that were there. I was able to invite the mayor, and he came and he spoke, and he stayed for about a half an hour. And that was really beautiful. And I took some pictures downstairs as well, so you can see kind of what it looks like. It's all painted white. And, so it's a lovely space, and it's been transformed. And we're blessed with the money that we got from it, and they are blessed to have a place in Pomona. So God is good. We are collecting non-perishables for Claremont UCC Church, and thank you, Ruth, for continuing to give that to that. We are also collecting hygiene and backpacks for Emerson Community School in Pomona. Every week I think, oh, I should have gone to do that, and then I forget. So one of these days I will get that done. But we are indeed blessed, and so I invite us to share the affirmation that is on the screen together now. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all I am, all I give, all I do, and all that I receive. And so it is, and Liz is coming around with the basket to receive blessings, and boy, do they make a difference in our church. And Jackie, I invite you to come up and to read your favorite book, The Daily Word. Up. I need to pull this chair up.
Oh, I got it.
Okay.
Make do with what's available. Good morning.
Good morning.
The word for today is forgiveness. Forgiveness is my path to peace. Occasionally, I may decide that a transgression or mistake is simply unforgivable. However, when I maintain a spiritual perspective, I realize forgiveness is key to moving on from painful interactions and is an important part of my spiritual path. Releasing unforgiveness may be one of the hardest things I will do, but I trust there will be peace in my heart and clarity in my mind when I do it. Whether I struggle to forgive another or myself, I trust there is no judgment or condemnation in spirit. Whatever the error, the divine presence within can help me transcend it. There is no pain, no hurt that is greater or more enduring than God. This is the comfort and promise that helps me forgive and know lasting peace. And from Luke 6:37, do not judge and you will not be judged. Do not condemn and you will not be condemned. Forgive and you will be forgiven.
Thank you, Jackie.
I think we all get chances to try that.
Oh, we get to forgive. And who is the hardest one to forgive? Ourselves. Yes, Ruth.
Yeah, I heard an interesting insight on that. I heard that if you are angry at someone and you can't forgive, and you really have it in for someone, it's like drinking poison.
It is.
And expecting them to
Yeah,
die.
actually.
And expecting the other person to be
Very
hurt.
interesting perspective.
It
You're going
is.
to get someone. It's like drinking poison.
And we're hurting ourselves so much more.
Yes.
So many people do the forgiveness work just for themselves, right?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's right. So thank you for bringing that up. That's a very important work that we all get to do. So now we have another song, And this is every little cell
My body as well.
in my
And it's-
body is happy, yes.
And what Ruth shared is perfect because it is like drinking poison. Literally, it impacts the cells in our body and our well-being when we're in a place of unforgiveness. So that's perfect for this song.
It is
Not only
perfect.
are we affirming our health, but we are taking action through forgiveness and loving ourselves to keep it going. Now it says we're going to go through it 2 times up there, but I might go for a 3rd time, just so you know. But these
Okay,
words
we'll
everybody
follow you.
knows, so it's easy as can be. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. I'm so glad every little cell in my body is happy and well. I'm so glad every little cell in my body is happy and well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. I'm so glad every little cell in my body is happy and well. I'm so glad every little cell in my body is happy and well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. I'm so glad every little cell in my body is happy and well. I'm so glad every little cell in my body is happy and well.
Thank you. And you can notice Julie made these slides years ago, and it's all these different kinds of cells, you know, from muscle cells to nerve cells to whatever. So she did a lot of research on getting these cells, and we're going to be doing some meditation on these all different kinds of cells in our body when we get down to it. So now we're going to be talking about the topic for the month, which is scary thoughts, and that happens at Halloween. I thought, you know, our thoughts do affect our bodies, just like Drac was saying, and just like Ruth was saying. So those unforgiveness thoughts and negative thinking and all kinds of things. And sometimes, you know, people have given us ideas about who we are that just aren't true, but they block our energy. I'll just share, this isn't in my notes, but I was, Friday, when I came here, I met Margaret Akil from the Doss Center for the Arts from Pomona. And she had wanted to look at our banners, to choose some banners to put in her upcoming art show, November, December, which was like such an amazing thing to me. And, you know, Jackie and I have made many of the banners that we use, and yet neither of us feel that we're an artist. And Margaret said, "Stop it, you are an artist." And it totally, I mean, I've been sitting in that energy because it shifted something in me, a sense of, you know, lack and limitation. I've never taken, neither of us have ever taken art club courses or anything, and yet to hear this art center director tell me and her, you know, that we are artists was amazing. And again, a part of healing, you know, healing something that, an idea that I had, and I don't know where I got the idea that I couldn't do art, probably from grade school, from a terrible drawing that I did or something. You never know. But we can all work. It's never too late to change our mind, right? To change our idea about who we are and what we can do and be. So today we are looking at thoughts about being sickly, thoughts of illness versus thoughts of health. and learning again to love our body and let it bless us. So, before we get into that, I have another story to tell, and this is a story. I used to be a medical technologist. For 30 years, I worked in hospitals and laboratories, and I worked with blood and all the different body excrement, et cetera, and I worked my first job, I worked in a small room that was a bacteriology lab. And I pretty much was in there myself, growing bacteria and identifying them. And this was way back in like 68, 69. So we didn't even have to wear gloves. So, yeah, I mean, things have changed, right? So, one day somebody brought into me, normally I worked with human, source material. But somebody brought a canned ham into me and asked me if I would check it out and identify something had gone wrong or bad with the ham. And so I put it on a plate, or several plates, and I worked on identifying it. And finally one day, it would only grow aerobically, which means without air. And I looked at it under the microscope, and it was a big gram-positive rod with spores. And I started looking, and I realized that it was Clostridium botulinus, which makes botulism. So I'm going home, and I thought, well, I better read up on this more. So I find botulism is the most toxic substance known to man. It is, one drop will paralyze or kill, so many people. And it was like, and here I've been working without paying a whole lot of attention to it. So then I started reading the symptoms. Well, guess what happened? I had every single symptom. So I was like, oh my gosh, because I knew the mind can make that happen, So I didn't know if it was my mind making it happen or whether I indeed had gotten poisoned. And so I decided I would write a note to give it to my husband. I said, now if I go unconscious, give this to people because they will know to give me the antidote for botulism. So I didn't rush to the emergency room, but just in case, but it was my mind was giving me the symptoms, not the disease. So that's the good news. I wasn't poisoned. Have any of you done that? Have you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
You want to say something about that?
Well, I turned 65 this past year and I had to get Medicare. And it's like a crisis. It's like, I'm, one more nail in the coffin of age.
Yes.
I'm old now.
When you turn a certain age, you begin to feel differently, even though it's just a number, right?
Right.
Yeah, and so you begin experiencing some symptoms of aging that you probably thought into being, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we got to watch that. I know a number of people that have done that as well. So, our minds, our bodies, our spirits, all of that energy works together and it affects everything, right? And our thoughts affect everything. So Unity's beginning was based on healing. Myrtle Fillmore, mother of Unity's healing, which was the beginning of our movement. And in this story, she was diagnosed. She was, I think, about 35 when she was diagnosed with terminal TB. She had just married Charles, who was about 10 years younger, actually, which is kind of cool. And she had always been told that she was sickly. And her family, like, oh, don't, you're weak, you're sickly. And so that's the identity that she took on. So she always, even though she'd managed to do things, she always felt like that was her identity, was sickly. And here she was, newly married, and I think she had had one child, they had had one child, and she came down with this diagnosis of terminal tuberculosis and was given months to live. Well, they were not ready to give up, and they were not people who could give up. And I know a number of you have gone through things that you were not ready to give up your life with no matter what either. So they began looking for the solution. And they went to hear these itinerant preachers that were going around at the time. And this was in the 1887, 88, and 89. And they heard this teacher, E.B. Weeks, who came and he said, "You are a child of God. You do not inherit illness." Well, she thought she had inherited it. She thought that's who she was. So she's like, oh my gosh, maybe I need to rethink who I am, what I am. And so every day she would go into her prayer closet and she would talk to her body. And she would ask her cells to forgive her for not believing in them, for thinking negative thoughts about them. If you're sickly all the time, you might have a negative disposition towards your body, right? And she did. And so she began asking her cells for forgiveness. She began sending them love. And she began talking to her body directly. She said, "I have made what seems to me a discovery. I was feeling fearfully sick. I had all the ills of mind and body that I could bear. Medicine and doctors ceased to give me relief, and when I was in despair, I found practical Christianity and took it up and was healed. This is how I made what I call my discovery. I was thinking about life. Life is everywhere. Intelligence as well as life is needed to make a body. Here is the key to my discovery. Life has to be guided by intelligence in making all forms. The same law works in my own body. Life is simply a form of energy. And has to be guided and directed in man's body by his intelligence. How do we communicate intelligence? By thinking and talking, of course. And then it flashed upon me that I might talk to the life in every part of my body and have it do just what I wanted. And I began to teach my body and got marvelous results. So it wasn't an instantaneous healing, but it was an instantaneous beginning of healing. And over the next 2 years, she came into perfect health. Now, many of us who have been in Unity know that story, and yet it holds so much for us, doesn't it? Because how many of us use that recipe for our own healing? Do you?
Yes, I
Good
do.
for you. Good for you, Liz. It's a great recipe. And so as her husband watched this miracle unfold, he began wondering, he had this like scientific mind, well, if she can do it, can I do it? And so he would try. He was deaf in one ear, and he started talking to his ear, and it healed, and his hearing came back, and he had one leg shorter than another because of an accident when he was a child skating. And his leg began to grow, and all these things that people couldn't believe, and yet he was proving that these spiritual tools work scientifically. which, in unity, science and spirituality go right hand in hand together. There is no fighting over that. And so then people begin asking about what happened, and then they begin talking about it, teaching it, helping people with prayer, and writing down and publishing some of what they were. And they just continue to experiment and read and get into things. Charles Fillmore wrote, healing, this is his definition of healing, restoring to original purity or integrity. That's by Webster. He says the first step in spiritual healing is to believe. And the next step is openness and receptivity to the stream of healing life. Through the exercise of faith and our words, our spiritual quality is fused into unity with the power of Christ, and the work is marvelously accomplished. All healing is based on mental cleansing. When the mind is free from error thoughts, harmony in the body ensues. Permanent healing is never accomplished until the mental cause of the disease, the error thought, is removed. Jesus was a true healer, and when he cast out the error that caused the condition, he said, sin no more, lest a worse thing befall thee. The thing was caused by sin. Thus, the true way to heal is to find the mental cause and destroy it forever. So again, mind and body working together. What do you think error thinking is? It could be a number of things, right? What?
Habits.
Pardon?
Habits.
Habits. Yeah, we just get into a habit of doing things and forget to be divinely guided, right? We just do it over and over, whether it works or not. Yeah.
Anything that comes from the small mind. So limitations, I cannot, these sort of things.
Kind of the negative. The negative, the small mind. That's interesting. Yes. Yes. Other thoughts? Error thinking.
I'm kind of along the lines of what Nancy said. Was she okay?
It was Nancy.
That any kind of thinking that creates a division between the truth of yourself and the connection to that divine, I see as kind of a sin. Like thinking she was sickly,
Yes.
That's not the truth of who she really is.
Yeah.
There was thinking she was taught that was errant.
It was errant. And how much does the world teach us about the truth of who we are and what we can be? It's yeah. So, that's why we need to come and do the spiritual work, because it's not, it is out there, but we have to look for it if we want it. Another way for me to look at it is when and in unity, we define sin as living from the outside in rather than the inside out.
That's a good one.
Yeah. If we take as the important things as power over money, possessions, all of that, trying to live that way, then those are outer values that we take in that can really plug up the flow. But if we live from the inside out, from our spiritual center, and spiritual guidance, then, we're living a life of joy and freedom and purpose and all kinds of things that then allows us to be healthy and joyful. So the Fillmores began studying scriptures from all over the world, many religious traditions, including the Bible, and they found 35 of Jesus's healing stories in the gospel. Now, I've only picked a couple to talk about, and Jackie said she wanted more Bible in her SWAC meeting, and so Jackie, here, this is for you.
Great.
So, in Luke 5, there is a story of Jesus cleansing the man with skin diseases. And it was, some scriptures say leprosy, because that was the disease back then that was very common. So it goes like this. Once, when he was in one of the cities, a man covered with skin disease was there. And when he saw Jesus, he bowed with his face to the ground and began and begged him, "Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean." And then Jesus stretched out his hand and touched him, and he said, "I am willing. Be made clean." Immediately the skin disease left him, and he ordered him to tell no one, but go show yourself to the priest, and as Moses commanded, make an offering for your cleansing as a testimony to them. So, how do we make ourselves clean? This is a healing by making ourselves clean. What might that mean in this day and age? Yep, Nance?
Yeah, I mean, aligning with the truth, which is the Spirit. So if you align with what is the spiritual truth of yourself, then you'll clean out everything that's not.
I love that. Aligning is such a great word because we do that in meditation, we do that in prayer. We can do that any time of the day or night as we focus on spiritual things, right? So aligning, yes. Positive thinking, shining light on our psychological shadow. We all have shadow parts that people have told us are not okay, and so we bury them deep. And then to do the healing work, we have to go to therapy or go somewhere and look at those things. Like I had to look at that am I an artist or am I not an artist? I am an artist, a fiber artist. So but we have to look at what's in the shadow and shine light. And the things we put in the shadow aren't bad. They kind of come out twisted because we don't give them permission to see the light of day. And so as we go in and we see these parts of us that somebody didn't like maybe our singing or what we were thinking or saying as a child even, then the healing happens and the release happens and the cleansing happens. So the shadow is cleansed. Also, back then, when you had leprosy, it was like having COVID in the beginning of COVID, right? You were put in a leprosy colony. You were separated. I know in Hawaii, there was a whole leprosy colony there. Mother Teresa kind of talks about that when she says the greatest disease in the West today is not TB or leprosy. It is being unwanted, unloved, and uncared for. We can cure physical diseases with medicine, but the only cure for loneliness, despair, and hopelessness is love. There are many in the world who are dying for a piece of bread, but there are many more dying for a little love. The poverty in the West is a different kind of poverty. It is not only a poverty of loneliness, but also of spirituality. There is a hunger for love, as there is a hunger for God. Do you think that's true?
Yes.
Very much so.
Yeah. It's been a long time since I have been in the East, and Nancy, you've been to India many times. Do you see that it's different there?
Well, yeah, I mean, everything is very communal. I mean, it's almost like, I feel like even strangers take care of you as if you were family. I mean, that's the experience I've had. It's a lot of warmth and a lot of taking care and looking out for each other.
Even with the caste system?
Yeah, I mean, well, to be fair, I'm usually in our living communities where that doesn't.
You're not affected by it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know about it in the normal streets of India, but the feeling I get though is that there's a lot of warmth.
It's a whole different value system, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next story is Luke 5:17-26, the healing and forgiveness of a paralyzed man. And so this story goes, one day while he was teaching, Pharisees and teachers of the law who had come from every village of Galilee and Judea and from Jerusalem were sitting nearby, and the power of the Lord was with him to heal. And just then some men came carrying a paralyzed man on a stretcher. They were trying to bring him and lay him before Jesus, but finding no way to bring him in because of the crowd, they went up on the roof and they let him down on the stretcher. Remember that story? Through the tiles into the middle of the crowd in front of Jesus. And when he saw their faith, he said, "Friend, your sins are forgiven you." And then the scribes and the Pharisees began to question, who is this who is speaking blasphemy? Who can forgive sins but God alone? And when Jesus perceived their questioning, he answered, "Why do you raise such questions in your hearts? Which is easier to say, your sins are forgiven you, or to say, stand up and walk? So that you may know that the Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive sins," he said to the one who was paralyzed, "I say to you, stand up and take your stretcher and go to your home." And immediately he stood up before them. He took what he had been lying on and he went to his home, glorifying God. Amazement seized all of them, and they glorified God, and they were filled with fear, saying, "We have seen incredible things today." One of the things I notice in the Bible, the word fear can be translated a number of ways, and I like it translated often as awe, because awe and fear are close, but awe, it takes you up into the positive energy, and fear takes you down into the negative stuff. So faith, they had faith, and he said, your faith has made you, or he said, your sins are forgiven you. So faith, what role does faith have in our lives and in our healing?
Everything.
Everything. Yeah, we have to believe, right? Believe that we're worthy of being healed. That's a part of it, right? That we can be healed. That it's a good thing to be healed. Sometimes our diseases we benefit from. So if we want to if we're willing to let go of the benefit, then we can come into more. And that victim consciousness, that it's easy to hang on to. That's who I am. I've got this problem. Well, if you're not willing to give up the problem, you're not ready to be healed and to receive that healing that is there for us. Forgiveness of sins is mentioned by Jesus. Again, we talked about sin as living backwards. We often see that. You know, in some churches, I think sin is, oh my God, this is a terrible thing. I'm a terrible person. I'm a sinner. That's not how we see it, right? Sin is missing the mark. It's an archery term. You shoot an arrow and it doesn't hit the bullseye. It goes sins to the right or sins to the left. That's it. You just have to re-aim. That's so easy for us to do. We can always do that, right? So important. Robert Brummett, Unity Minister, in his book, Birthing a Greater Reality, writes, focusing on the faults of another is a common way of avoiding a look at our own unhealed wounds. Our personal healing depends upon the willingness to look at and compassionately accept what is there. I don't know how many of you have been in therapy, but I've been in therapy for a long time, and it helps you have someone go through with you to look at what's buried and free it, and free yourself, and forgive yourself for not being the perfect person that maybe other people want you to be, or even that you want yourself to be. And So there, but it's all a part of the perfection of evolving. So we are all evolving. Finally, get up and get back to your life. My story of being the intern in the hospital, I got sick and I could not seem to get well. My instructor told me to come to work. Oh, when I was, again, learning to be a medical technologist, I was 21, 22, and one day I got sick. I got the flu or something. And you know how you get weak when you get sick, really sick? And I got so sick and I missed a couple of weeks of work, which was also school. And my strength, when you lay in bed, you know, your strength, you lose strength quickly. And I did not feel like I had the strength to get up and go to work. And I didn't know what to do because I knew I had to go to work. Have any of you found yourself in that position? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so my teacher, my instructor said, just come to work and you will get better. And I did. And I did get better. But I had to lift up myself out of the bed and carry it, you know, come to go to work, which I didn't think I could do, and Spirit healed me. So I feel that really fits in with this story. Another scripture, healing of Jesus, is from Luke 8. And it is the story that goes like this. As he went, the crowds pressed in on him. And now there was a woman who had been suffering from a flow of blood for 12 years. Imagine having a period that lasts 12 years. And though she had spent all she had on physicians, no one could cure her. She came up behind him and she touched the fringe of his cloak, and immediately her flow of blood stopped. And then Jesus said, "Who touched me?" And when they all denied it, Peter said, "Master, the crowds are hemming against you and pressing against you." And Jesus said, "That's not it. Somebody touched me, for I noticed that the power had gone out from me." And when the woman realized that she could not remain hidden, and she came trembling and falling down before him, and she declared in the presence of all the people why she had touched him and how she had been immediately healed. And he said, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace." So again, we have this faith that comes up in this story as well. We also have this ability to touch into the divine. Where is the divine? Yeah, within ourselves. When we touch into the divine within ourselves, could healing happen? Absolutely. Absolutely. And notice how Jesus was aware of the touch that she gave was different than all the people pushing and shoving him. It was a deep connection. She made a deep connection, a spiritual. She touched the spiritual aspect of him. And that is what allowed her to heal and him to be aware of it. Imagine this woman with this constant menstrual cycle that not only weakened her, but very much left her isolated from a normal life. Because back in that culture, when a woman menstruated, she couldn't do any of the normal things that a woman did. So she was isolated in many ways. From Pema Chodron, Buddhist teacher and author, healing comes from letting there be room for all this to happen. Room for grief, for relief, for misery, and for joy. So I think of her life as being probably filled with so much sadness and so much hurt, as well as weakness, and touching Jesus then gave her the healing energy to take her up into joy. And that is something that is available to all of us as well. And the final story is from Luke. Jesus heals the crippled woman. Now he was teaching in one of the synagogues on the Sabbath, and just then there appeared a woman with a spirit that had crippled her for 18 years. She was bent over, and she was quite unable to stand up straight. When Jesus called her, he called her over and said, "Woman, you are free from your ailment." When he laid his hands on her, immediately she stood up straight and began praising God. But the leader of the synagogue, indignant because Jesus had cured her on the Sabbath, kept saying to the crowd, "There are 6 days on which this work ought to be done. Come on those days and be cured, and not on the Sabbath day." You know, we get into all this stuff in culturation that stops the good in our lives. But the Lord answered him and said, "You hypocrites, does not each of you on the Sabbath untie his ox and his donkey from the manger and lead it to water? And ought not this woman, a daughter of Abraham, whom Satan bound for 18 long years, be set free from this bondage on the Sabbath day?" And when he said this, all his opponents were put to shame, and the entire crowd was rejoicing at the wonderful things being done by him. Sometimes we just need permission to free ourselves from the chains that bind us mentally or physically or spiritually. Sometimes somebody comes into our life through a relationship, a new spiritual practice. There's many ways that change can come into our life that allows us to straighten out our life, straighten out our body, straighten out our life, and do things differently. How many of you have had experiences like that where you, suddenly realize that you could make changes when you didn't know that you could? So again, Jim Rosemergy, Unity Minister, in his book, Recent Revelation, says, "If you have a healing need, know God as life and wholeness, and you will be healed. Rejoice briefly in the passage of your disease, but rejoice eternally in the truth that you are whole." So focus again on the wholeness, on the healing, on the joy. One of the things I love about Unity is that we, all New Thought, we use modern medicine. We use Eastern medicine, Western medicine, spiritual medicine. It's all there for us, right? And many of us use all of them. And so I love that about our teachings. Let's see. Some of you know that I was diagnosed with glaucoma when I was about 32, 33. I was told I was blind when I went to a second opinion. I said, "No, I'm not blind." They said, "Well, if you're not blind now, you're going to be blind just like that in any minute." Boy, was I scared. I was scared for years. But I was also determined not to go blind. And so I sought out all kinds of Eastern medicine, Western medicine, spiritual medicine, to keep it. And I use them all, still use them all. I still see, I still drive. And my doctor, he says he's never heard of anybody with a diagnosis that young that still can see. And yet, with God, what? All things are possible. All things are possible. And we're probably all living miracles in some way or other. We've all lived through things that many people have not been able to live through. And yet, here we are. We have. And that is. And so, Jewish renewal leader, Rabbi Zalman Shabtai Shalomi, writes in his book, The First Step. about Baal Shem Tov's great-grandson. Each person needs to have a genuine compassion for his body, for its very flesh, and to share with it all the enlightenments of the soul. But this can only happen when the body is ready. So we must prepare our bodies by composing them and making them clear. When this is done and the body is lucid and focused, it is able to receive and absorb the soul's enlightenment. So care for our bodies, what we put in it, what we eat, the rest we give it, right? All the exercise we give it. We have to take care of these instruments, right? So it's pretty much time. What I want to do is I want us to visualize, take a few moments to visualize our bodies and bless them and speak to them. And so I invite you to turn within, to go down into your body with your mind's eye. And think with awe of the wondrous way the different systems in your body have been made. And to speak to and bless and love your nervous system with your master brain and all the branches that go to every part of your body. And to bless and thank your muscles, your whole muscular system, allowing you to move. And then to bless your skeletal system, that which supports you, all the bones and cartilage in your body. To give thanks for them, to speak to them. And then your respiratory system. And your cardiac system with its amazing heart with so many functions and all the arteries and capillaries and veins. And your lymphatic system. And then bless your digestive system, all those organs that are put to use when you eat or drink. And your urinary system that cleanses your blood. Then blessing your endocrine system, all those glands that send out all kinds of chemicals to keep your body in balance. And your reproductive system. And then finally, this is a new word for me, your integumentary system, your skin, your nails, your hair. All of the part of you that keeps you together, that contains all the other systems within you. And see them all working together harmoniously. Allowing you to thrive. And so it is. I have a final quote this is from it is from Iman al-Ghazali, The Alchemy of Happiness. For instance, if a man ceases to take concern in worldly matters, conceives distaste for common pleasures, and appears sunk in depression, the doctor would say, this is a case of melancholy, and requires such a prescription. The physicist would say this is the dryness of the brain caused by hot weather and cannot be relieved until the air becomes moist. The astrologer would attribute it to some particular conjugation of oppositions of planets. Thus far, their wisdom reaches, says the Quran. But it does not occur to them that what has really happened is this, that the Almighty has a concern for the welfare of that man and has therefore commanded his servants, the planets or the elements, to produce such a condition in him that he may turn away from the world to his Maker. The knowledge of this fact is a lustrous pearl from the ocean of inspirational knowledge, to which all other forms of knowledge are as islands in the sea. And so it's all about turning to God. And so it is. Amen. And now, Drac, do you have a piece for us?
Yes, I actually played this a couple of weeks ago at CCSL here for their service.
Oh,
How many of you are familiar with the movie Forrest Gump?
oh yeah.
Okay. You remember the scene where she said, "Run, Forrest, run," and he just starts running.
Yes.
Didn't even say, "I can't." He just started running, and then his braces just came off.
Oh, it's the same story, isn't it? Yeah.
Forrest, to me, I love his character because he did not live in a world of what if, oh, I'm too stupid, I can't. Because he started out in life with a mother who told him what he could do, who spoke to him in possibilities. So he didn't live in that kind of existence. He lived simply. He didn't push against things. He didn't force things. He didn't tell himself he couldn't. He just knew what he could do and just did. He was unfettered with the BS that a lot of us are in our thoughts about who and what we are and what we can do. So I chose this piece to play again today here so that you can just sit in the energy of that, knowing that, just who he was, and touch into that aspect of yourself while you listen to this. It's simple. It's not like an entertaining tune. It's an invitation to just sit with that energy and remember the movie and how we all have that ability in us.
And so thank you for that. It
Yeah.
was really beautiful. So let us share our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And now our peace song. And if you want to stand up, stand up.
There be peace
On earth,
and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth and the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with
thank you all. David? Thank you.
And thank you, David. Because this show would not be happening without